Alright guys, so on Reddit I asked if people would like to see a coaster tutorial, and there was a lot of positive feedback. And then this guide is going to be focused on improving your ratings, basically on all of your coasters. I'm still not exactly sure how excitement works in this game. I'm positive though that it has a lot to do with the speed that you're going, but I do know how to tune down your fear ratings, which is what's going to keep people off of your coasters. Now, before we start this, I want to just preface this with saying that if you don't put time into this game, what comes out, like your product, is not going to be that good. A lot of people on my last video that I made, which spiked in views crazily, don't know how that happened, a lot of people were saying, like, how did you make this? I can't do anything this well. And it's like, it's probably most likely because you didn't take the time. That shit took me around 2 weeks to do. It's not an overnight process, and it's going to be the same thing with coasters. So with that said, let me get some stuff laid out here and we'll get started. The things you need to understand the most when playing with a coaster or building one are G-forces. Those are lateral G's, vertical G's, and forward G's. I really don't know all that much about the different ones, but I'm pretty sure it's just where the gravity is throwing you. Is it throwing you laterally, vertically, or forward? You know, that's what I'm guessing. Now, I want you guys to think of it as this coaster train right here. This is a bucket, right? And everybody in it is some water. If you've ever grabbed a bucket of water and swung it over your head just to see all the water stay in, you know how you don't really have to swing it all that fast to have the water stay in. You've probably played around inside, like, just kind of seen, like, okay, how slow can I swing this bucket over my head without spilling all the water? And you can swing it pretty damn slow. Gravity is keeping everything pushed up to the top. All that pressure is keeping it pushed up to the top. And if you think about people being that water, people are filled with blood, right? So if you're swinging them upside down, all the blood is going to go to their feet and leave their heads empty, and that's going to make people pass out. That's where your fear rating comes from. Your fear rating doesn't really come, I know that this kind of disproves this, but your fear rating doesn't really come from being up high or seeing scary things on a ride. Your fear rating is people being scared of passing out or breaking their bones. And that comes from G-forces. You have to make your rides graceful and smooth. Think of turns in a car. Like this down here, as I'm going to show you in a second. People are going to hit this. Let's just play it. Let's just play it right now. They're going to go down this drop, and they're going to pick up a lot of speed. Let's watch our speed right here. They're going 90 miles an hour, and boom. The fear rating on that I wasn't really watching, but I'm pretty sure it was damn high, because everybody on this curve right here just died because all of their ribs just got broken. If you're in a car and you're making a turn onto your street, you're probably not even going to make it at 20 miles an hour. You're going to slow down even slower than that. You should always have your turns banked if they're going any faster than, I'd say 10 miles an hour. And even that is a little excessive. I still put a little bank on them just to absorb as much of that force as I can, because you don't want people slammed into the side of the car. If you've ever been on a ride like that, you know that it hurts. And again, with making your rides graceful, if you have a massive drop, it doesn't have to be vertical, but if you have any kind of drop and you make the end of it this short, you might as well be dropping them onto the solid ground from 40 stories up. That's not going to feel good. It's going to feel like they're just hitting the ground, which is going to put a ton of G-force slamming them down into the car, you know? And then again with the loop, the whole bucket of water thing, you can't have them go through that too fast either, or their blood is going to get flown to their feet, and you know how bad that hurts. Now another thing that you have to watch out for with G-forces is parts like this. If we put this after the loop and something like that, you know, like a little cute wave. If we fast forward again, alright, we're watching them come down, tipping over the drop, going down, intense fear rating, insane nausea rating, and then right there, I don't know if you guys saw how they went whoop bang, and then right here, when it went back into going in a downward motion, everybody's legs in that ride just slammed up against the lap bars. Their shoulders just slammed up against the shoulder restraints, and they were almost flung from the car, but the car kept going down, or pulled them back down, which is almost like a whip motion, which probably killed the other survivors that didn't already die from this, or this. Speed is going to be the main thing that you have to watch out for. If you want to put a cool drop in your coaster, that's fine, but then I really don't recommend putting any loops and stuff in it for quite a long time. If you want to do like the crazy high drops and have your have your coasters look cool, you want to go with a Giga coaster, like this one, or what's Giga Rage? I don't know. You want to go with that one. This Giga coaster, that's like Millennium Force in Cedar Point. Really cool coaster, really smooth. I'd recommend watching a video on that to learn how to build Giga coasters in general. It has a lot to do with big swooping turns and all that kind of stuff. Or where'd you go? Or a hyper coaster, wherever it's at. Right here, hyper coaster. Those ones, any of them that say cannot invert, they can't invert for a reason. You're supposed to be making them graceful and swooping, almost like a whale swimming through the ocean or something like that. Anything that can invert, you want to go with much, much shorter drop heights. So with that said, let's go into actually constructing a coaster. Alright, so with this one we have a drop height of, let's see here, 42 meters, if you can't really see that well. 42 meters right here. You have your height markers right here as well. Height markers off, relative to terrain, relative to sea level. I'm just going to leave it relative to terrain since we're on terrain. But, to see if you guys like a little scope, 42 meters, a decently high drop, but nothing too extreme, just to give you guys a feel for how much speed you really get from these things. Let's watch our speed right here, dropping down, and we peak at a solid 60 miles an hour right there. That's plenty fast. It's a tad excessive, really. So you might want to go for a drop even shorter than that. But the thing that you need to watch out for is at the edge of a drop like this, even if you bank a turn like this much or whatever, even if you bank a turn like this and you turn, let's bank it a little more like that. Let's just see. Let's get it back up here. Let's drop. More than anything, watch the nausea rating. That's what you're really concerned about right here. It was a 9 in fear and like a 6 in nausea, because tight turns, even if you bank them a little bit, that's not enough to make up for how fast you're going. So right here, at the edges of your drops, you do not want to put turns, and you really, it's a gray area if you want to put inversions or not, because you can make a really cool like drawn out big old loop or something, and have that eat up a lot of your speed. Let me do that right now and see what we get. Alright, so right here we have a rough loop that I just put together. It's not smoothed out or anything, so that might affect our speeds a little bit. But you see we go up, pretty decent ratings, all the way through the top there, and then back down. But look at the speed still. You guys have to remember that at the top of your loop here is going to be the slowest point, but from here down to the bottom again is all still another drop. It's just still another drop. So even if you do put a loop there, you still can't put a turn after that. If you stop the loop like halfway down, make it into a twist, go down the other way like a 0G roll type deal, or like a half loop, half twist, whatever piece, then it's fine. But just remember that even if you make an inversion, even if you make something that flips people upside down, it's going to drop them again. Drops are built into inversions, and you still have to watch your speed. So after we do that, since we make it through pretty decently, I'm just going to do one thing that I love to do on all coasters, such as this. And these are pieces in Roller Coaster Tycoon. Jesus, this camera, man, sometimes. These are pieces in Roller Coaster Tycoon. I haven't seen them yet in this game, though. Don't really know if they're on roller coasters. I've literally only played with the floorless coaster because it seems like it's got everything in it, and that's really what I'm looking for here. I was a little too curved at the start there, actually, and this might be a little rough around the edges. I haven't done one of these in this game before. This is kind of like a trial run at the moment, but it is incredibly useful. Because what I'm trying to make right now, sketchily, I'll probably time lapse this bitch, is an overbanked turn. And these guys are used to turn your car, you know, they function as a turn, but they'll drag it up into the air, like so, and then drop it down again while keeping your car mostly on its side, so it doesn't, so like one, it cuts the speed by a lot, and it really helps with that, with handling your speed, and it'll put the G-forces somewhere else than the side, you know, the side of the car. It'll make it more of like an upward force, almost. So we're going to level this out a little bit more, and let's leave it at that much, and then make this 0.0. Alright, so, oh, whoops, I suck. Alright, so if we get it through that, we can get, wow, that looks like shit, don't judge me. And then it goes up into this, super rocky, and then back down, still maintaining decent ratings. These are incredibly useful overbank turns if you want to turn your coaster around. That's how I think you have to use it, or have to do it. If you want to put it turning your coaster when it has that much speed, you have to put it on its side, or you can just go straight and bank it fully on its side and try to turn it around like that. Again, I think this takes up a little less space. Now, as you just heard, it looks super shitty, you know, it looks freaking like a kindergartner scribbled that with crayons. So what we're gonna do is use the two most important buttons in this entire game, which are smooth all and smooth banking. And you basically just spam the shit out of both of those, like that, and look at that, it just fixed my track for me. We're gonna go up here. This is plenty banked. Actually, let me check my ratings if I'm happy with this. 5. Cool, we're not in the red for fear, that's all I care about. We're gonna do smooth all, smooth banking. Over here, we're gonna do smooth banking, smooth all, because I'm a rebel and I like to switch it up. Now here we're gonna do smooth all, smooth banking, and then down here, smooth banking, and again. Now we've got it all smoothed out. You guys see that looks a lot better. There's less of a kink here. There still is a little bit, but it's way less noticeable. And now on our loop, we're also going to go through, just hit smooth banking, and I usually just do smooth banking on my custom-made inversions like this, because smooth all will just kind of reshape it and get it to be like as tight as possible, but I'm completely satisfied with those ratings on it so far, so I'm stellar. And then right through here, it took some of the excitement off, smoothing it out that much, for some reason. It probably took some of the hider speed off of it, something like that. But now we have the loop and the overbank turn, and now our coaster is going back in the opposite direction. All handling our G-forces very well, and our speed very well. You can do a lot of other different things to turn your coaster around. Like you can put a half loop, twist it over, send it down the other side. You can do a half loop and put a corkscrew in it and go this way. I was going to go over how to build your own custom inversions, but I think it's a lot better to just learn it yourself and learn all the different names for things. Like, I don't think I've ever used a pretzel loop, but you can do your loops, you can get your corkscrews, which are in, come on, where you at? Where are the actual good corkscrews? Right there. That's a good old-fashioned corkscrew right there. And what corkscrews do, or how they function, is they go like that. They flip you upside down, and when you're at the middle of a corkscrew, you're completely inverted, and then you go zipping down the other side, like so. And you just want to learn how to build each piece of an inversion on your own, because you can learn how to build everything together, which looks amazing. You guys probably have seen these in a lot of roller coasters. These are called Cobra rolls, and they just consist of a half loop, a half corkscrew, the other half corkscrew, and then another half loop, and you go right down the other side. You can use the pre-built ones. It's fine. I like to make everything myself. It's totally up to you. And now with that general construction out of the way, just manage your speed. Do not use turns, really, if you can help it. Use overbank turns, use something swooping, something diving, something graceful. It's going to give you more speed, it's going to give you more excitement, it's just all around going to be a better ride if you don't have tight turns, and it'll keep your nausea at a bare minimum. So moving on from general coaster construction tips and guidelines, I hope that helped. Um, but yeah, the next section is just going to be on theming, on inspiration, and how to actually build a ride. Alright, so this is the part that I made a video on the other day, and I'm just going to talk about this coaster that actually kind of breaks a lot of the rules that I just talked about. With this coaster, I was just having fun playing the game, you know? You don't have to make everything too realistic. I don't want to seem like a stickler. I break my own rules too. Screw me. But, okay, on this coaster, it was in an ocean area. You know, I wanted to have like a little harbor feel and island feel to it, and so I wanted it to feel like it belonged on an island. And so at the starting right here, or the starting drop, I inverted it a little bit like that, you know, because I thought, okay, if it's going to be an ocean coaster, I wanted it to kind of almost look like the ocean too, and I thought that and that drop both looked like cresting waves, like right before they crash on the beach almost, and so that's where I got the name Rogue Wave for it too. And then from that, I thought of like, okay, I was originally going to have it come out from under this pirate ship, right? And then go through the coaster, but I just had to go through the side, and so I pretended, okay, let's have it be like a pirate ship theme, almost. And then the Rogue Wave comes and hits the pirate ship, and then boom, it throws them under the water, and now they're all like getting dunked and everything, and then this is all just them getting tossed around by the waves and everything, and then they resurface, and they're calming down, and then they're like, oh my god, another one, and then they get really screwed on the next one with the crazy double loop thing that I did, and back through there, and then through the exit, and out through the side. And with theming and everything, I feel like if you build the area first and then build your coaster in it to fit the area, it'll almost build itself. Because you can give it like a medieval theme. You can be like, okay, I want the people on this coaster to feel like they're dragons, or I want the people on this coaster to feel like they're lions hunting prey, or a spaceship in like the middle of a battle, and I want to have like a bunch of like tight turns and loops and crazy stuff like you're in a dogfight. If you have like an actual theme and an idea, it'll give your coaster character, which will make it unique, and it'll almost, like I said, it'll almost build itself, hopefully, because you'll draw some true inspiration just from your own ideas about what's going on that you want to convey with your roller coaster, you know? It's almost like a work of art, in a sense. So yeah, that's my tips on theming and everything, is just coming up with the idea, building the area first, and then building a coaster to complement the area, not building a coaster and then an area to complement the coaster, you know? Which might seem kind of a pain in the ass. I know a lot of people just bought the game because they wanted to build roller coasters, but, you know, you do you. If you follow the other things that I said, just watching your speed, making sure that everything is super banked, everything is nice and graceful, there's no G-forces pulling blood out of people like this, don't do this, then I think you'll all be fine. Just make sure that your drops aren't too big. Like even this one, as big as it is, I didn't drop it at the ground level. It actually starts right here, then curves up into the loop. You know, it's not all a drop, because I didn't want that much speed. And then even on these loops, it slows down to about like I want to say like 15 miles an hour in the top of this one, and then it's still going a little fast. I should put some brakes on it, but I like it the way that it is, even though the ratings are pretty low. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about, I'll just talk about on this one, are brake pieces. If you guys don't know, for some reason, there are trim brakes and there are block brakes. And if we go into, gotta close it down. If you go into Edit Coaster, whoops, let's go right here. If you go into Edit Coaster, we see that we put friction brakes right here, or trim brakes and friction brakes. My bad, Roller Coaster Tycoon is in my brain. But yeah, we have block brakes, right? And I usually use those at the ends of my coasters. You can go here and then click the utility settings, and it'll do your target speed. My target speed is 13 miles an hour, and I want it to slow down at 5 meters per whatever. If you put like a higher deceleration rate, it's going to slow it down faster. I think the best thing to do is put trim brakes on everything and then have them slow it down at a very low deceleration rate. You want it to slow it down, but you don't want it to be like you're hitting a brick wall. If you can get this as low as you can and still hit your target speed, that's what you want to do. and then your target speed should be something that can get things around corners still. You don't want it to slow it down to 0, obviously, because then it won't move. And then that's usually how you're going to want to end your coasters. You want to have a good chunk of brakes before it hits the end of the station, so it's not just like a boom and everybody, slamming against their restraints. I'm pretty sure you guys have been on coasters like that in real life, and it completely sucks to go on because it hurts. But yeah, I think that's everything. Let me double check here for just a second. Alright, my bad. I forgot a few things, tiny little details that I wanted to talk about with this coaster. I think it looks, except for, the craziness, it looks more realistic than some other ones because it's compact. It's in like a tighter zone, which is why, like, with turns, like the overbank turns, and then turning things around like with helixes like this or drops like that, and having it dive back in on itself, doubling back, it'll help you conserve space. It'll help the coaster cut back through itself, and it looks more realistic, and it won't eat up as much space in your park. So if you can, you don't want like one big drop. Like, again, for Giga coasters, all that kind of stuff, it's fine. But for these coasters, you don't want like just a drop and like a straight line of loops and corkscrews and then a turnaround and then it coming back. That's how my little brother used to build roller coasters in RCT. You want them all kind of, compact, like in on each other. I don't think I've ever seen a looping inverting coaster that's like all spread out. It usually comes back in and it's like one big knot mess of track, and I think that looks way cooler too. So that's one thing that I forgot, and then, damn it, there was one more thing. Hold up. Yes, okay, my boy Evil Amnesiac on Reddit reminded me that if you have like an intense looping, corkscrewing, twisting, intense inverting coaster, you don't want that one to go on forever. You want it to end. I put a second drop in this one just because I thought it was going to be a little too short, because I ran out of speed from this drop, and I wanted to have something else to end it up, but after that it ends immediately. You can go on a Giga coaster and a Hyper coaster, like, again, Evil Amnesiac said, you can ride those big, swooping, speedy ones forever, and it feels awesome because you feel like you're in like a plane or you're flying. But with these, if you're getting flung around and spun and looped and all this crap for like over, I want to say like over 2-3 minutes, it gets a little intense. So you want to end these ones usually in a reasonable amount of time, because it's also, if you mess up one part of it and you get too carried away, it's probably going to mess up your fear rating too, and your nausea. So yeah, you want to keep your coasters compact, short, design them with character and love and care, and really put some passion into it, and then it'll usually turn out pretty well, as long as you bank all your turns, smooth out all your drops, make it graceful and nice to ride and smooth, and then you won't kill anybody and people will actually want to ride your rides. I hope that helps you. Really hope it did. If you have any more questions, I will try to answer them. If you want me to go more in depth, feel free to ask me, and I will try to make another video on it. But thank you for watching, and I hope it helped.